So I like to do it like this. So you're pretty much, man, 15 on each side. We're gonna just do a sit up, right? So this arm here, my right arm, is gonna come up and cross over and touch the ground here on the left hand side. Then I'm gonna alternate.
Okay.
Left arm up, cross over, touch. Now, if you got your wide legs out, right? I'm crossing over, I'm touching my toe, right? I have a target.
Okay.
Boom.
All right.
And this is all abs, you know? Try not to use those arms to push off the ground, and you got a good workout. All right.
Okay.
The next one is gonna be scissors, right? So I'm gonna have this leg here suspended off the ground as well, right? This leg all the way up in the air. And what you're trying to fight for is to have your heels shooting towards the heavens. All right. All
All
right.
right.
The same thing. What was your heel on the ground? Okay. Oh, the heel that's closer to the ground. And you're just gonna alternate. You're gonna hold for about 3, 4, 5 seconds, and then you're gonna switch it up. And your arms
Got
can
it.
be right here on the side, or you can place them here. All
Okay.
right. And then my favorite, the hip rock and raise. This is a tough workout. So you're gonna sit with your heel or your feet, the bottoms of your feet facing each other. All right. And pretty much you're just gonna rock your hips and your toes and point them towards the sky. Okay. Boom, just like that. Using your abdominals to thrust your lower torso skyward, straight up.
Got it. All right.
All right, so 25 of
All right.
those. All right,
All right.
all
Got
right.
it.
So you got it. You straight.
Yep.
So yeah, honestly, man, I guess you want to call woke as I am now when I was growing up when we first started our this family, man. So it wasn't really a conscious effort for us to do that. I mean, if people bought dolls or whatever, we didn't like exclude them like, oh no, you can't play with that one. You know what I mean? We just let it be, right? We let children just be, because especially me being in the military, I was already in a blended system. You understand? So diversity was there. It wasn't as much as I would say New York or whatever have you, but yeah, diversity was still prevalent. So I didn't make a conscious effort to do so. My wife at times would, put a little emphasis on those things that, again, like you're saying, to show them that these dolls do exist at least, and that there's beauty in them, right? Because I remember seeing this gripping, I think, the start of my journey of becoming awake. I remember seeing a documentary, and they had a panel of black children and white children, and they showed them the dolls. They had a black doll and a white doll, and it was like, well, which doll do you think is the prettiest, or which doll do you think is I wouldn't say evil, but which one is the bad doll? And 9 times out of 10, they would the bad doll would be the black doll, and then the pretty doll would be the white doll. And these are fresh minds, right? These are babies, right? So it was just mind-boggling to see that the color black was associated with negativity, man, and at a young age. So once we, like I said, once we got kind of hit to that agenda, man, we started to put more emphasis on that kind of thing. But they, by that time, my kids weren't really playing with dolls anymore, and so that wasn't a battle for us anymore. But yeah, I mean, if I was to have another child, I would ensure that, I would buy them dolls that kind of look like themselves to instill some self-worth, to kind of avoid those pitfalls. Because that's a terrible thing to see a child that hates themselves or hates the skin that they're in, man. It's a terrible feeling, man. Be honest with you. And so,
Facts. Yeah. So
but
that
yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up. That that study that you're talking about. It was in 1940. It was Dr. Kenneth and Mamie Clark, a married couple. And what they were setting out to do was to prove that segregation, discrimination, and prejudice have a severe effect on self-esteem. And they were
Oh,
trying to prove that Black kids had lower self-esteem because of segregation. That study actually was used in the Brown versus Board of Education case in order to show that conditions of separate but equal were not actually constitutional. So that's a huge study that you just mentioned, man. The kids, they had negative connotations. They would ask the children, who is the good doll? Who does who makes good grades, who listens to their mom and stuff like that. Like, so they would attribute personality traits to the color of the doll. All the dolls looked exactly the same except for
Yep.
the tone of their skin.
Yep.
Is one thing that Dr. Kenneth Clark said. He said he was actually the first, him and his wife were the first two Black people to get PhDs from Columbia. I didn't know that. Really smart couple. But he said the one thing that broke his heart during the study was a little Black boy. Can't remember where he was from. I think he was from somewhere in the deep South. They asked him, they pointed to the Black doll and said, "What is that?" He said, "That's," he said, which of these dolls resembles you, or which of these dolls looks most like you? He said, "The nigger doll. I'm a nigger." He said it broke his heart. The nigger doll. I'm a nigger, you know?
Terrible.
So, yeah, so, you know, so it lends into this conversation about Black, right? Because I think us more than any other ethnicity, especially in this country, of course, we struggle with what to call ourselves, what we would be known as, how we identify, you know, and we went from being slaves to being like niggers and colored, and then we wanted to be Black. Then now we're African American, and some of us are saying we're still Black. You know, I think so. What do you think about that? Should we call ourselves Black? I mean, is given the negative connotation of the word Black, before we even get there, right? Let's make sure that our workout buddies are on the same page, right? So, when you think of Black, right? Like, let's just think of this in terms of a very, very basic understanding of life and human nature. Like, where do you feel most comfortable? Right? As a human being, where do you feel most comfortable? In a well-lit room or in a completely dark room? I think most people will say that they feel most comfortable and most secure when the lights are on and they can see what's going on. So to say Black gives a connotation of darkness. Darkness gives a feeling of fear, of anxiety, of being scared, of hopelessness, of depression, of tragedy. Then you can use it to mean evil or mean wicked. We can go further and talk about like word use, right? Like language. You talk about black male. You talk about black ball.
Black hole.
Black hole.
Black male.
Black male. Black listing, right? So the term, we can't argue. You can try to argue, but you'll lose. That the word Black has a negative connotation overall. And then it's opposite. Then you talk about white, talk about white. White is snow white. Purity, doves are white. Light, white and light. White is right, So do you think that we should call ourselves Black?
I don't want nothing. I don't want nothing that's under 100. I don't want nothing.